This rave felt like a festival because there were 5 stages set up by various crews. It was very impressive to see, especially because it was all done illegally. This rave was properly in the middle of nowhere. It took me about a 5-hour commute to reach this place. It was hosted in a woodland location. There were crazy lasers everywhere and DJs and vans. It was forecast to rain in the early morning, but despite the weather, everyone kept going in high spirits and danced well into the morning. I'm going to take you with me as we venture out to this crazy rave and describe in detail exactly what it felt like to attend this event. It was the 19th of October. I got the train up from Brighton to Bristol. It took 3.5 hours, so on the way up I decided to watch a documentary, DMT, the spirit molecule. Essentially, in this documentary, they're mapping out the DMT realm by doing studies, and for some reason, people always end up seeing the same entities in these realms. So they're talking about the possibility that it might not just be a brain-created illusion, but that DMT tunes us into a different frequency. The documentary explains it better than I can, but it was a very interesting documentary, and it opens your eyes to that being a possibility. Once I arrived in Bristol, I was greeted by my friends Skylar and Jude, and their friend Nathan, who I had not met previous to this. It was a very nice, sunny day. I'd never been to Bristol previous to this. People had told me it was similar to Brighton, and I'd say it definitely is in terms of healthy food choices and colourful buildings, and it's quite an artsy town, but it's also very different. Our plan now was to head to this trippy maze of a place called Wake the Tiger, created by the set designers of Boomtown Festival. Boomtown pretty much has its own storyline, its own currency and its own characters that you can interact with throughout the festival. And inside, it was the trippiest place ever. There were so many different routes you could take, like a maze.
Dude, I'm tripping so hard. Why is time warping? Whoa. Yo.
And there were surreal colours and lights everywhere. I can imagine that a lot of the visitors must have been tripping. It only seems natural in a place like this. This whole place felt extremely immersive.
This is so weird.
There was even an alternate universe train station inside of it, and a sign that read, "See it, feel it, transcend it." A very interesting way to start our night in Bristol, I think. Exiting the building was very confusing, and we ended up getting lost in a fire escape hall, because we were so used to questioning doorways and going down strange passageways that we got confused. Eventually we found the exit, and we entered back into reality, which felt very strange after being inside this building. Next we decided to head in the direction of Jude's student accommodation. Pork kebabs were roasting outside a Chinese restaurant. I decided to have these as my dinner. They were very delicious. We walked along this street that looked very similar to Brighton. All of the houses were neatly packed next to each other on a slope, and some were painted in a very colourful way. Especially this house, which was painted like a jungle. As of now, we had no information on the whereabouts of the rave, and we'd find out more information at 10 PM. After a while of walking in the street light, we arrived at Jude's student castle. We got a good variety of snacks from the supermarket, and chilled in the living room. A display of alcohol bottles was lined up against the window of many student accommodations. At 10 PM we called the line and we got more information on the whereabouts. We needed to catch a train. The train ride would leave us in the middle of nowhere, so our only option after that was to sort a taxi. On this train we bumped into some other rave goers who were trying to figure out how to get there too. The Uber was going to cost 20 quid total, which was about £5 each between the 4 of us, which was very chill. We arrived at the station at about 12 PM. Here we ingested some psychedelic compounds to start the night. The aim was to not see reality, but merely see a kaleidoscopic collage of what was once there. It was going to be a roller coaster, that's for sure. Nah, just kidding. I would hate to do acid at a rave. We received the exact coordinates at this point, and we decided to get dropped on the closest road possible to the rave. I was very excited now. This location was properly rural, and the best location I've ever gone to a rave at. The driver was like, "Where are you guys going? This is the middle of nowhere." At this point, we could hear the bass through the car window.
Dada, do you hear the music? Do you hear the music?
This is what being a YouTuber.
And we said that we're going to a birthday party and got out the car. We jumped the fence and ended up in a soggy, dew-covered field. Our shoes slowly began absorbing the moisture, and we knew there was no getting over that. We walked through about 3 fields, hopping various fences and streams. We were in the final field, and then we encountered some other people. This one guy with a Scouse accent was like, "Always wear hiking boots to raves. You may look like a bit of a knob when on the dance floor, but it's always worth it." My shoes were completely fucked, and since this day I always wear hiking stompers to raves.
Are you going under or over?
Another street.
Under.
Oh fuck.
Skylar, vad tycker du om den här experience?
Jättekonstigt. Det är jättemycket en experience. Jag vill inte göra det här igen.
Uh-oh, watch out, watch out.
We wandered into a woods, and the muffled bass line got louder and louder. It was an amazing feeling to discover hundreds of people dancing to music that you love in this beautiful woodland. We encountered some of our friends from Brighton here too, which was so surreal to see. It all felt like a dream. All different kinds of people had arrived here, wearing various colourful outfits alongside their coats. Some people were dancing on top of the rigs. It felt like they were video game characters that had been programmed to hype up the crowd. It was so funny. The lasers were being shot out of these huge rigs, and the crowd was going nuts. We were right up close with the speakers, to the point where we could feel the bass shaking our eyes a bit.
We're at the rave in Southwest.
It took us like 10 years to get here.
It sure did.
Here.
Look at my feet.
At this free party, there were said to be about 5 different stages dotted about, so we began searching for our next dance floor. We wandered down a dirt track and discovered a new stage. This one was absolutely crazy. A group of DJs were inside a van mixing the music for this huge rig with an octopus on top of it. That sentence doesn't even sound real. This was a crew whose raves we always attended, because the raves they throw always have great music and amazing locations. They usually do them local to us, but this was more out of the way. They had crazy lighting on the stage, which made the rig art appear luminescent and glowing. So I just stood and stared at the octopus while absorbing the sound waves. I was listening to the different layers of the songs. I feel like the rig art is very essential because it gives you something to look at whilst dancing. And because you're staring at something, it really helps you to get lost in the music. Various cars were parked around the edge of the crowd. Rave crews stood on top of the rig adjusting various straps to make sure it was secured in place. A man stood by the edge of the crowd puffing balloons non-stop. He was selling them to various people in the crowd from a huge blue bottle. Every time I photograph raves, I'm always very happy with the photos I get. I usually can't tell what I've captured with my crowd photos until I edit them or see them the next day. I think they turn out great because everyone's such characters at these raves, and they tend to dress in a very unique way. I'm very happy with the photos I got here.
Lost 3 years ago. They're getting ripped apart in the New York Minute.
We stayed at this stage for a while. The music was so good here. It was really mesmerising to just zone out, look at the octopus, and let the sound waves move you. Various DJs hopped on the decks throughout the night and brought something unique to the dance floor. Water began falling from the sky, and the rave crews were very quick to notice this. They pulled out huge tarps and covered the rigs quickly. People kept raving through the weather though. We just put our coats and hoods up and kept going. We discovered various small stages. There were so many cool little stages that we danced at throughout the night. And we discovered 4 stages total. But we couldn't seem to find the 5th stage anywhere. So we figured there probably wasn't a 5th stage. The main stage was being waterproofed too, with the crew members climbing up with huge tarps and draping them over the edges. But the rave kept going, and soon the rain passed. It was cool how so many crews came together to work on one big project in the woods. It seemed like it would have been a huge operation to set up, especially since a lot of the crews weren't from round here, and it would have been a 4 or 3 hour commute to get there. Each crew invests tens of thousands of pounds in their equipment. The stack we're seeing right now is probably worth about 10k. After a while we decided to take a break on a pile of timber.
Wait, take a hit. Take a hit.
Let me hit that. Yeah, go on. Let me hit the backwards cigarette. Let me hit the evil cigarette.
Yo, that filter's tasting so fresh.
The evil cigarette.
Do you remember?
While we were sitting here we decided, why not pop some more acid? So we took 3 large tabs of acid each again.
Did it fall off?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
There's more acid.
Show your
We got
tongue.
plenty where that came from.
No, it fell off. Oh, it doesn't matter. Jacob just makes it.
Everywhere I go, I always carry a nut mix with me, because it's a filling snack, and it means you can save money on food when you're out and about. It was great at this rave, because it kept my energy up throughout the night. If anyone's at these raves and you see me, just come up to me and ask for some trail mix, and I'll sort you out.
But now I'm thinking the festival. These boots, you're flexing your boots.
After this little break, we hopped back into the rave again. Because of the rain droplets, the lasers looked so cool, You could properly see the blades of light now. Various people in the crowds tend to be holding smart whips in their hands, and balloons. I heard that this stage kept going until about 9 or 10 AM. We were now on a mission to try and find this fifth stage that we had heard about. On our journey we stopped off at a few different stages to listen to music. We bumped into our mate from Brighton as we were walking down a dirt track. We were ready to leave the rave, but he showed us this hugely impressive stage hidden in the woods. It was magical. Everything had been handcrafted out of wood, and they had a huge stage, which upon closer inspection, you realise it's built into the back of a truck. The DJ looked like a wizard. This guy looked like a sorcerer. And the other guy looked like a Mad Hatter. It was amazing to see. The decoration on this stage was so beautiful, with beautiful hand-painted Liberty caps painted on the DJ desk, a chain swing for the crew to sit on whilst transmitting music, and various beautiful patterns painted on the wall. This is the most magical stage I've ever encountered anywhere. Everything looked medieval in a magical way. This was a great send-off for the rave. Now our journey home began. It was about 6:50 AM when we decided to leave. We'd been here for an extremely long amount of time. A small gravel road guided us out of the woods. Various cars were lined up along the road, and we were fantasizing about how nice it would be to have a car that we could have at raves. A warm metal bubble where we could sleep. Lots of people seemed to be sleeping in their cars by the looks of it. A large puddle blocked our path, so we scurried along the verge to make it across. It was now a clear road in the middle of nowhere. Jude had worked out that in order to get back to Bristol, we could walk along this road for an hour to get to the train station, and then get a train. En route to the station, we picked up a group of others who had the same plan. It's so funny encountering dog walkers after a rave, because we were walking through the woods, and they were just having a healthy morning walk, and in contrast, there was us, who hadn't slept for 24 hours, and we'd been dancing to high BPMs all night. On the platform there were various rave goers sleeping on benches. It was very cold, so we had a little fire using scrap paper. Eventually we made it back to Bristol. I slept from about 11 AM to 4 PM, and I woke up to Jude kicking my door to wake me up. Then about 15 minutes later we walked to Bristol station. Jude said he hadn't slept at all, which is crazy, and Skylar said she got about 1.5 hours. This was definitely the best rave I've ever been to. It felt like a proper festival, and it was very well set up. And only 2 police officers turned up for the entire night. Shout out to the crews who made this happen. We had a great night.